Hi, and welcome back to the Ribby Tuesday.
On your left.
Sorry. Who's that?
Don't say it.
Welcome back to the Ribby Tuesday. My name's Ruben, and this is my review for the new Cap film, Brave New World. It's a whole new era for Marvel, and I'm doing a spoiler review, also talking about the ending, because I think by this point, you're either in of the MCU or you're out. And I think a lot of people have already tapped out because the films have been subpar. Since the original MCU ending with Endgame, the films have been okay. We've had some ones that stood above the rest, and I've enjoyed most of them for what they are, but there have been a lot of moments within the MCU that it's just felt like, a slog. And so coming into this one, this was their moment to shine. This was their moment to go, all right, we're going to set something up again. And this film very much does feel like they're trying to do that, except it doesn't quite land on all those moments that it wants to because of a massive issue, which is the pacing issue. So Anthony Mackie is back as Sam Wilson, Captain America. He's firmly had the gauntlet handed over to him. We've seen iterations of this version, but this is the first time he really gets to don a suit that is vibranium enhanced. His wings are vibranium enhanced. You see him do cool little maneuvers. We get a great action sequence at the beginning.
Wait for it.
And then there's a lot of story building. Now, we do have to say that Harrison Ford, as the President Thaddeus Ross, I think he actually does a great job with the character, what's been written for him. He feels like he's there on purpose, rather than, let's say, there's been a few roles that he's had recently that because he's Harrison Ford, he's got like an amazing amount of charm, but it's there simply for the paycheck. I loved him in Shrinking recently, and I just felt like he was there to work with that character and fell in love with that character that he's given us in Shrinking.
And I say to myself, lucky guy.
This time around, I think he's one of the stronger points, actually, of this movie. He brings a tortured man who is a messed up relationship with his daughter after, chasing the Hulk around. And what this film begins to do is start knitting some of the questions that were left that we thought were going to always be unanswered. The massive hand in the ocean, the celestial hand, they tie that in brilliantly here. And also kind of bringing in adamantium, which is the new metal that everybody wants. And obviously we're going to start having the X-Men brought in similar that way. Danny Ramirez, we've seen him as Taurus a bit, but this time around, he really gets to shine as that sidekick character that has his training wheels on, similar to a Tom Holland and Spider-Man. He's going to be the new Falcon, or at least that's what they're setting it up to be. And I think his interaction with Anthony Mackie, there's a playfulness that goes on there that I believed. I believe they were kind of that surrogate teacher, father mentor type person. Not quite the father mentor type, more on the mentor side. And I think that works to kind of help elevate sometimes the drab of this film that has its pacing issues. One of the other shining moments, I think, in this movie was Carl Lumbly, who plays Isaiah Bradley. Again, we've seen this character before, but this character really gets some emotional depth. I thought that carried this film. The heart was almost Isaiah Bradley in this film. And when I had moments of him, I cared about his character and what was happening to him when he gets rearrested and they're messing up his suit, man. I'm like, don't mess up the dude's suit. Seriously, that's his wedding suit. So it just shows that was building up some of the character, the intentional kind of character emotional development moments and they knew that going into it. That's why they put him back in jail, because you felt something towards him. Then we have Tim Blake Nelson, who's Samuel Stearns, the big bad MacGuffin that's been hidden in shadow for a lot of the film, where we see him talking until there's this big reveal, like we didn't know that was coming. And I have to say, the visual aesthetics for his brain is suitably gross and much better than we've seen iterations of it before. But I also feel like he's very underutilized in this. Not that he could physically fight, but he's the MacGuffin that drives the story forward. Like the big celestial hand is a part of a MacGuffin in this movie, he is also the MacGuffin bad guy. We see him get to do a little bit, but I would have liked to have seen them done a little bit more. It feels undercooked. And talking about undercooked, Mr. Esposito, who is Sidewinder, he has a couple of fight scenes that are fine, but he's definitely the throwaway henchman in this movie. And I think for the actor and the caliber of actor that they had in their hands, not giving him something meaty was just a shame, because he deserves better. Although he's in Marvel, so I'm guessing it's a good paycheck, but I also would love to have seen him do something more, or them have given him something more to do in this movie. Shira Haas plays Ruth Butt Seraph. And this is an interesting character. It does feel like they're trying to rebuild the Avengers, but with all new characters. Replacing this character is going to be the new Iron Man. This characters, obviously, we have the new Cap, and then we're going to have the new Falcon, and a new Black Widow, and a new Hulk. And so it does feel like they're trying to force us to feel something. The problem is, when we had the original Captain America, that had his own entire movie before it became a movie that was Civil War, and we saw him interact with all these others. We haven't really had that for this Cap. We haven't really had this introducing other characters substantially. They've had bit parts. And this feels more like a Civil War movie rather than the Captain America, the First Avengers, which is a shame, because I think Anthony Mackie does a really good job at showing his Captain America. That's the big kind of point of this movie. He doesn't have the super soldier serum. He is hurting when he's fighting the supers. There's even a conversation had with Bucky, who's saying, no, you don't need the serum. And every time we see him in a fight, he seems to be able to hold his own, but just. He's slower. He has a suit that's powered. He has protective Kevlar. He has vibranium wings. All the gadgets next to having an Iron Man suit are helping him with his training be that symbol that everybody wants. Now, there's a balancing act here that we need to have, because on one hand, having a human but with all the cool gadgets is great, but we also need someone that can go toe-to-toe with the Hulk. And that's where I just didn't quite buy the storyline that they were trying to sell me with the Red Hulk. Apart from having the Red Hulk and all the posters and the trailers as a big selling point, he is only in this movie for max probably about 7 minutes, when Harrison Ford finally turns and we see some great CGI and some dodgy CGI. The fight sequences themselves with Falcon are fine. They're not doing anything to kind of rattle the boat, anything out of the ordinary. There's a couple of cool moments, most of which you've seen in the trailer. The problem is, not for a moment do I believe that this Cap, without super soldier serum, could take down the Hulk. And the Red Hulk, seemingly, this is a character, or in its human form, has been hunting the Hulk for ages, knows all of the Hulk's moves. So when he becomes the Red Hulk, he would know what to be able to do with this character, what it's capable of, the healing factor. They haven't established in this MCU, rather than the comics, what he's capable of. But the fight, I expected this Cap to have maybe a bit of help. And the way it went down, I think, was the only way. So he didn't technically win, because he was about to lose. However, I thought the fight would have ended much sooner, or it would have turned out Bucky would have come and helped and, subdue, or at least slow down, so they can have that conversation where, they need him to come to senses and realize the big bad is not supposed to be him. He's meant to be the hero, the president. So it was an interesting take. Let me know your thoughts on this movie. There's a lot to like here.
On your left.
In scenes, but in between that, it feels like there's filler and there's some heart, I enjoyed it for the most part, but I was hoping for more. I really was hoping that this was the movie that was going to restart the MCU into what it was. And maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just expect this level of writing for the MCU. Not taking anything away from Anthony Mackie. I think he's done a great job with what he's been given. I think Harrison Ford did a fantastic job with what he's been given. I think Daniel Ramirez is an interesting new Falcon. I like their banter. Shira Haas, she feels like she's the Black Widow at the beginning in Iron Man 2 when we saw the Black Widow for the first time, not really knowing who she was. She feels
I want one.
No.
like she's starting to become a character that could possibly be something in the future. And Isaiah Bradley was awesome in this. I could have had more scenes with him. And then we get to the end scene, credit scene, where again it feels like they're trying to start up what Iron Man did at the end. You know, originally was we're setting up for what's to come. And here's my big question with the writing of this movie in parts. When we get to that end credit scene at the forge, at the jail, and Anthony Mackie is having a conversation with Tim Blake Nelson, Samuel Stearns, it's Samuel Stearns kind of explaining to him that because of his ability to calculate everything, he knows there's another big ethereal bad coming and lots of others, and not just our Earth. And that seemed to be like they were saying it's like a revelation, which is bonkers to my mind because we've had so much happen. Even the president talks about this, about half of the people on the planet of Earth disappeared at one stage. We have a celestial hand in the ocean. The conversation, or at least the script is written like our characters forget everything that's occurred to planet Earth. So it feels like they're saying, oh, well, this is our Earth. They're just going to protect our Earth. There are many Earths. The whole conversation through the film is like characters have forgotten what has happened, what has come before. It's a very odd thing, and I don't know if it's their way of trying to step back the multi-universe thing, because that hasn't quite worked the way they thought it was going to work, except they're so far into it now, they can't write themselves out of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the current state of the MCU. Did you really enjoy this movie? What were your favorite moments? What are you hoping for in subsequent films? Thunderbolts is something that I think could be fun if it doesn't take itself too seriously and it engages the way it should do, but it also has heart. I think that could be one of the films that maybe elevates the MCU again into something more. I hope so, because I do enjoy superhero films. I just think everybody got tired of what happened, the writing. There was too much coming out too often. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Check out my channel for loads of other reviews, loads new content coming soon. I really appreciate your guys' eyeballs on this. I'd love to hear your comments down below. I have a membership on this channel where you can ask me to review something like a movie or two or series, depending on the tier. I appreciate if you can't do that, but if you're still listening, you're still watching, and you found it slightly informative and fun to watch, then maybe you want to check out those. Thanks so much, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.